Ooh, that was kind of nice.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Dom, and this is another episode of Kerbal Realism. Today we will be trying to satisfy our Orbit the Kerbin contract. But before we do that, we need to get a couple of extra parts to help us on our way and to basically help us maintain the amount of money that we will be spending on this journey. So what we need to do is actually jump into the vehicle assembly building here and make a couple of changes to the puddle, which is something that I really wanted to mess with. I always make a little puddle jumper. But first, what I want to do is actually jump into, here we go, the Science Center here, do some research. There's some research there. We need to research 24 parts. I don't really want to research them all, so I'm just going to get the LV909, the radial chute, the landing struts, and I think that's all we're going to need for right now. We'll get the other radial chute just in case. We can get the rest of these parts a little bit later, spend the money later. So what I really want to do before we start orbiting Kerbin is unlock this stability node here. It'll help us in our future endeavors. And today we might even look around Kerbal Space Center as a whole, basically, just to see what all the new buildings look like. I've looked around Kerbal Space Center a few times in the previous models, so I've never really looked at the new stuff, at least the level 1 stuff yet. So this is the Puddle 1. I always make a little puddle jumper to do local science stuff. He will be... where's my landing struts? Landing struts, here we go. He will be carrying along with him some landing struts. And we're going to start extended like this. I tend to make one of these every single one of my games, mostly just to get the science that's close to Kerbal Space Center here. It's a little bit easier to just kind of get the launch pad than Kerbal Space Center, than the runway and the shores and those kinds of things. Because there's quite a few biomes, I guess you could call them, very, very close to the Space Center here. So I think that's all I really wanted to add. I really just wanted to add those legs on. And because the parachutes tend to be... they don't have any cost anymore. It used to be expensive. Let's see if... Oh yeah, it's quite expensive still. But basically there's really no need. These things, this should definitely support it. If we hit our stage recovery, we can look here. We'll be descending at 7.9 meters per second. These legs should be able to handle that, which is a good thing. I don't know if they're actually rated. But yeah, impact tolerance 300. No idea what that means, but we'll see though. Okay, we're gonna save. We're gonna launch this guy off, and as you guys suggested, I removed Kerbal construction time. It was actually kind of getting in the way at the beginning, so I removed that mod. So we're on the launch pad. First thing we're going to do is actually do a crew report from the launch pad, and it's useless because apparently they got rid of that. So we're just going to observe the mystery goo on the launch pad. 2.7 doesn't seem to be doing much right now, but we'll keep it. We will also do an EVA report above the launch pad, which is flying over Kerbin's shores, which it always has been. We'll get back in there, and then we will do a little bit of a cheaty move here. We'll just hit the launch button right now. Fly just slightly above the ground. Observe the mystery goo. Okay, flying at Kerbin. There we go. And then we'll keep that as well. We will do an EVA. There we go. And then we will do an EVA report from the launch pad as Jebediah faceplants. And he can't get back in the vehicle either, so we're going to recover him. And then we'll also recover the vehicle at the launch pad. Covered him. 2.9 science. Yep, no funds, yep. And we can recover the Puddle 1, which is just sitting there. And that'll get us 14.2 science, so both of the mystery goos. And I think that crew report or EVA report or something. I actually should have done the crew report while flying as well. That would have been smart. Come on, Dom, pay attention. And we got most of our monies back from that. Not really much. It seems like... Huh. Oh, we completed a contract. That's interesting. We got a little teeny bit of money from that, but it seems like we didn't get a lot of our money back from that mission. So I'm going to have to keep an eye on that in the future. It seems like we're draining money faster. Oh, no, I spent it here. Good gosh, I'm not paying attention. So we have a bunch more science now, so we're going to research. Not sure just yet. I do like having the larger fuel tank and the more efficient rocket, but I think I would rather have the radial decouplers and the winglets, which really help with stability on your launches. I would love to have the reaction wheel. Oh, that's the small one. That's they changed the size on that, so it's the 0.625 meter parts that fit with these guys here. So that's a different part nowadays. Let's see. Don't think we need any of that. I'm just looking through this stuff right now. Ooh, there's a training academy with a K. Anyways, we're gonna get these parts. So we have 44,000. We completed a mission, which was the test the LV-909 landed at the pad. I'll do some more off camera of just those little puddle jumpers, but I really want to let's see if there's anything good in here. We'll do it later. I really just want to build the rocket today to go into orbit. Now, to do that, we're going to need to scrap this. So we'll do a new design. And bunch of failed missions later, we are on the launch pad again with Jeb, with the puddle here, and we're actually aiming for... Ooh, nice sunset. We're actually aiming for the runway over there. I'm actually... Ooh, launch. I'm actually recording the audio for this, the voiceover afterwards. I've had a bunch of issues with recording, and I'm going to go ahead and just go straight up as best we can. We're going to try to... There we go. Go straight up. Wait till we start descending, and then we will go ahead and deploy our parachute. There it goes. And hopefully we will land safely here. So we're with the puddle again, because we need to unlock a couple more, or at least one more, tech node. After a couple of failed launches, I figured out that I needed an engine that can gimbal, and we don't actually have one of those yet, so we need to unlock the correct node that would give us an engine to do that. Basically, the issue I was having is that the rocket would go up and choose a direction and stay going in that direction, because we couldn't thrust vector anything. So we are getting all the local science around here, picking up as much as we possibly can. And then I'll see you on the launch pad with the successful design. And welcome back to the launch pad. We have Jeb in the hot seat again, and this is the Orbiter 2. A bunch of testing and part interchanging and such like that has led to this design. As you can tell, I have just keep right-clicking on that top tank there to show that it has just a little bit less fuel than full. That's because the Space Center only allows for 30 parts, but the launch pad only allows for 18 tons. So we're going to go ahead and get this thing launched. There we go. We're going to try to orient this thing in the best way it can, but it kind of chooses its own direction every once in a while. Basically, I just need to get it into orbit. Now, the main engine has 4 fuel tanks above it. So basically, it would be 2 of those long fuel tanks that I normally use. And then the LV-909 is our second stage with one of those half tanks on top of it. Under the command pod, there is a double decoupler system with a heat shield. And under the heat shield, there is a bunch of science stuff that I brought up with me. Not really a bunch, just 2 mystery goos. We're going to try to get as much science from this run as we can. I've had so much problems recording this specific session, so many crashes and such, mostly out of memory issues. I think what I'm going to end up doing is just recording things in half-res textures. I think that's what I ended up doing for last season. So, as you can tell, I'm really fighting, trying to keep this thing center line. You actually can look in the bottom left here and seeing the yaw and pitch and stuff like that move. I'm trying to keep it centered, but eventually I just say, you know what, we'll tip this direction then. And we are already punching it here, trying to grow our apple apps to above the horizon here, or above 70 kilometers. So the bottom stage has about, 2,300 meters per second of delta V in it, whereas the top stage has about the same. And that all has to do with fuel efficiencies and the fact that it weighs a lot less whenever it gets higher, because we've already used a bunch of the fuel. So anyways, there we go. We have main engine cutoff with a apple apps high enough. We're going to try to lose this bottom stage here. I wish that it ran out of fuel before we reached space, though. Now, I'm kind of time warping up to space. Now, the reason why I say this is because whenever it re-enters, it's going to experience a lot of heat. And I didn't put a heat shield on the bottom stage, and I want to recover it because it's a decent amount of money. And just about to run out of fuel. Oop. Losing that stage. And then we'll kick on the LV909. As soon as we get a little bit further away. And I'm going to pitch up just a little bit. There we go. I'm going to be fighting my apple apps time basically the entirety of this burn here. I want to keep my apple apps time positive, so and relatively small, so floating around only a couple seconds. Now the reasoning for that is if you burn prograde at your apple apps, you're doing a more, what's the word I'm looking for, efficient burn, and also you kind of maintain about the same height. Now, as you can tell, I'm probably not doing the most efficient burn, but it's enough fuel. I have plenty of fuel to do this burn. And all I need to do is burn retrograde to re-enter, so it shouldn't be that bad. Jeb is actually the very first Kerbal in this universe to orbit Kerbin. I could be doing a little bit of science. But anyways, this top stage will be re-entering in two pieces. The capsule with the parachute will be entering separately from the bottom stage. There's a double decoupler setup so that I can expose both of the heat shields of the two parts. So under the capsule, there's already a heat shield integrated into it, and then the engine, the tank, and those two mystery goo things have their own heat shield on the other side of the double decoupler, and we'll see that whenever I decouple them. So we're bringing up our peri-apps, and hopefully that will happen very soon. We're going to need to do a little bit of science. I don't actually remember if I did a crew report, but we'll see. Oh, man. So yeah, recording this has been quite an issue. We're actually going to be cutting right before Jeb hits the ground, and I need to actually redo this mission off camera because I kind of crashed due to a memory issue. Now, I am using a bunch of mods, and I'm also using active texture management. That will basically allows me to run all these mods without having to reduce their textures. Now, I'm probably just going to have to run a bunch of these in half resolution, but so what? We'll deal with it. It won't look as amazing, but too bad. Here's our mystery goo. We're getting a bunch of science from that. I think we do a crew report. Yay, we did a crew report! Woo! I brought 2 mystery goos up, and I forgot to use one. Oh yeah, you can't do an EVA unless you upgrade one of your buildings, so I think it's the astronaut complex or something like that, to be able to do EVAs. I actually did a mission and recorded it before this one, where I wanted to take Jeb out and just push it, because we were only like 5 kilometers from a periapse that was above Kerbin's atmosphere. So there we go, we recovered that stage. Got not as much as I wanted to. That was the main lift stage. We completed our contract. Excellent. Just gonna get rid of that. And now we have to re-enter, and I have to figure out where we're going to hit the ground. I want to actually land in the light, because it looks better. So I'm actually kind of aiming for that island on the other side of Kerbin right now. We'll see. Bringing up the nav ball. We're going to move over to retrograde here and burn a little bit to bring in our periapse so that we can actually land. We'll bring it below the horizon just so we can guarantee a landing. And basically the island on the other side of our orbit is where I want to land. So that's what we try to do. Decouple, and there's the heat shield right on top. And those double decouplers will probably just burn up or explode or something like that upon re-entry. And here we go. I tip over, I think. Yep, stupidly, because it was already faced the right direction. For re-entry, we're going to speed up. Get to... There we go. Position myself. There we go. Get to re-entry. And the effects will start happening soon. Now, basically the whole time I'm expecting for these stages ahead of me to be auto-recovered with a stage recovery mod. I'm basically just hoping. Because I'd like to get that little bit of science, and I would also like to recover some of the parts because they're a little bit expensive. And ooh, speeding up time is a really bad thing on re-entry with deadly re-entry and Ferrum aerospace and all that. Ooh, look at that, the polar ice cap, like Antarctica equivalent. We are now speeding up time again. Don't know why I did that. And I'm basically waiting for these guys to get out of like 2.5 kilometers or something like that. Whatever the set distance is for the game to think that they're either crashed or whatever. Because then stage recovery picks up after that point. So here we go. Trying to land on that island, and it does look like I'll land there. Bloop, bloop. And re-entry effect should be happening very, very soon. And here we go. A little bit of fire. I love how the fire comes off of the handles for the ladder. I think it's really cool. So the actual model is pretty nice. Here we go. We are looking at the shielding here, and it basically is not even taking a dent because we were entered relatively slow. So we were just doing a low Kerbin orbit, and then a relatively slower re-entry. If we were coming from, for example, the moon or Minmus, it would be much faster. So we would probably lose a lot more shielding upon re-entry. And soon, I think those stages are recovered. And we should be slowing down to the point where there's no more re-entry effects. Those guys are far enough away that stage recovery should take over. Now, what I mean by that since they're so far away, the game feels as if they're no longer needed to be calculated the physics and such. So as soon as the game knows that they're going to hit the ground, stage recovery will take over and decide whether or not they survived. And we are going to get to the thicker part of the atmosphere, where we might be able to see some of the white lines come off of the capsule. But if not, that just means it's even safer, which I don't think we actually do. Once you get that white lines, that just means you're decelerating really, really fast in the lower atmosphere. You're not even burning up, you're just hitting really, really dense air by comparison to other stages of descent. And we're going actually slow enough. We can probably, there we go, deploy the parachute. And that should bring us safely to the ground. And if you look in the top right hand corner, we have recovered our stages. Boop, boop. And we just got the message that we got some science. There we go. And we recovered that for a little bit of funds, about half of our funds, and all the science that was on board. So that's excellent. That's going to be it for today, though. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.